Hey you. Yeah, you over there. Ah, I see you like anime waifus, huh? Man of culture, aren't you, huh? But I think you seem kinda broke. I mean, you have a $300 Hatsune Miku figurine over there, huh? Well, you're just in luck, because if you like anime waifus, but you're also interested in TCGs, I recommend that you build this deck over here, huh? Aren't you interested? Yeah, you do, huh? So, we'll be going over the best budget waifu deck in Union Arena. We'll be going over this deck, the Mother Rosario Green deck from the SAO set. So we will be going over a deck overview and also how to play the deck. So overall, this is a very friendly budget deck because the raid cards only cost $1. So basically, if you look at the full price on TCG Player, it will be a bit under $20. But frankly, I think that's just because they overpriced the bulk cards. So you can probably get it for $15 or less if you have friends that have bulk cards to probably give you or sell you at a discounted price. So the main card of this deck is the 4000 BP Asuna raid card that says this character gains all abilities listed below if you have the required combined total number of Yuuki and Mother Rosario cards in your sideline. So if you have 4 or more, when attacking, draw up to 1 card. Pretty good. 6 or more, during your turn, this character gains 1000 BP and damage 2. 8 or more, this character cannot be blocked by a character with 3000 or less BP. So basically at full power, you'll be drawing 1 card. You'll be at 5000 BP with damage 2. And if your opponent wants to block that damage 2, they'll have to sacrifice a character with a minimum 3500 BP. Other cards in this deck are the 3-cost Asuna that says this character gains all abilities listed below if you have the required combined total of Yuuki and Mother Rosario cards in your sideline. 4 or more, during your turn, this character gains 500 BP. 6 or more, impact 1. So basically on your turn, for only 3 costs, you get a 4000 BP card that has impact 1. So pretty good for that low cost of 3 energy. We'll be playing a supporter cards like the 1-cost Asuna and the 0-cost Asuna. So all of these cards, but preferably the lower cost cards, are raid targets for your raid Asuna. So the next card we're looking at is the special, the Mother Rosario. So this is particular because it has a very unique condition. So it says choose 1 character with 5000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand, which isn't bad, but you want the full potential, which says if you have a combined total of 3 or more Yuuki or Mother's Rosario cards in your sideline it instead. So you're looking to set up at least 3 of the noted cards in your sideline to be able to get the full potential of this special. Next, we'll be looking at the 4-cost 2 action point Yuuki. So this card says play this character set to active onto your field at the start of your turn. Sideline this character. This character cannot be blocked by a character with 2000 or less BP. When played, draw 2 cards, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. Also, when sideline, choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line and switch it to resting. And it has 4000 BP. So this is a pretty good card, despite forcing herself to sideline at the beginning of the turn, because you get good draw, you have good utility in terms of the resting, and ultimately if your opponent only has 2000 or less BP cards on their field, you will force 1 damage, or you will force them to block with a character with 2500 BP. So next, we'll be looking at other Yukis that will help you fulfill the conditions of all your cards. So we have the 4-cost Yuuki that has nullify impact. Also, when attacking, if Asuna, Siun, or Sleeping Knights is on your field, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. So it's a pretty good card draw. It has 4000 BP and has active trigger. Next, we have our 2-cost Yuuki that says when sideline, choose up to 1 character on your field. It gains 1000 BP until the end of the turn. So not the strongest card, but we kind of need to play it to fulfill the conditions of our cards. And we have our 0-cost Yuuki that says when played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline as a draw trigger and 1500 BP. So pretty standard card that we play for consistency purposes. Next, we have our connective tissue cards, or the bridge cards. We have our 1-cost Yui that says when played, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 green card with alloy affinity among them, and add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the top of your deck in any order. If you added a card to your hand, place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. So just a great card to search for pretty much any card in our deck, whether it's a raid or a Yuuki, to really allow for our deck to roll. Next, we have the Siun, a simple card. This says if this character is active, gain 1 energy generation. So definitely a good card to have set up in your backline to really allow for you to play your raids without any energy issues. Next, we have our 3-cost AP Restand card, the Barbecue. And I like to play the 0-cost Kirito because he has a draw trigger and he has a very good BP, 2000 for his cost of 0. So the strengths of this deck, of course, we're playing this deck for the waifus, but also it has a low curve and aggro strategy that can definitely catch decks off guard if they aren't prepared to deal with our aggressive strategy. And we also have very good card draw or cycling in the form of both of our Yukis, whether that's the 2 action point 1 or the 1 action point 1, to definitely help us get to what we need and filling the sideline with Yukis or Mother Rosarios to fulfill the conditions of our deck. So of course this deck has weaknesses since it's not the strongest deck of all. The raid Asuna needs setup, so without any of the cards in in your sideline, she effectively has no effect, so you shouldn't really play her if you don't have any of the necessary cards in your sideline. The special also requires setup, so unless you really want to bounce a card to your opponent's hand, you really want to wait towards the later turns to be able to use this to be able to sideline an opposing character. And also there's a general lack of removal outside of the special, so none of your raids are able to remove any opposing characters. Next we'll be going of examples of key plays for turns 1 to 3. So in this scenario, we will be going first. We will look at our first hand, and man, we got a decent hand because we have some 0 drops and some 1 drops. We have pretty much a decent curve to start the game, so we'll put our life, and we are off to the races. So for our first move, we will be drawing with our Yuuki and trashing a barbecue, mostly because we have all the cards set up already to play for our next turns. So next turn we will draw, and we'll be pushing up the Yuuki because we have a 0 cost to play, and also a 1 cost Yui to play to look at the top 3 cards. And we will be picking up a Seiyun so that we can allow us to have a smoother curve starting next turn. So we start the turn, and we'll be pushing up the Yui and then playing another Yui to search for the top 3 cards. And we will be picking up a Yuuki, mostly because we can't really play the Asunas effectively without setting up our sideline. So we play Seiyun to allow us to generate 2 energy next turn. So in the next scenario, we will also be going first. We'll be looking at a scenario where unfortunately our first hand is pretty bad because we don't have much playable cards in this, so we'll be doing our mulligan. And look here, our second hand is definitely a lot better, so a fully playable hand. So let's see what we will do for the next turns. So we start with 1 action point, and we'll be playing a Yuuki, drawing a card, and we need to figure out which card we want to trash. So we will be trashing another Yuuki to set up the sideline for our future turns. And then on our next turn, we will be going to 2 action points, and we draw a card. And now we will be playing a 1 cost Asuna, and then we'll be playing a 2 cost Seiyun to set up the energy for our future turns. So now we have 4 total energy. So on our third turn, we will be drawing a card, going up to 3 action points with 4 energy on the field. And we'll be pushing up our 2 smaller cards because we don't need to use their energy. Next, we'll be playing a 2 cost Yuuki, followed by a 0 cost Asuna, and then a 3 cost Asuna into the front line. So we will end the board with 4 energy in our back line. Next up, we'll be doing a scenario where we will be starting second. So our first hand is not that great. We'll be mulliganing, looking at our second hand, and this is a much better hand. We have a lot more playable cards, so we'll be setting up our life. And this is our first turn with 2 action points and drawing up to 8 cards. So on our first action point, we will be playing a 0 cost Yuuki, allowing us to drawing 1 and trashing 1. And we'll be discarding a 0 cost Asuna, mostly because we actually have 3 in our hand, so we don't have time to play all of them. And we'll be playing a 1 cost Yui to allow us to look at the top 3 for a LLO card. And we'll be picking up the Seiyun, mostly to allow us to generate a better, smoother curve for the next turns. And we'll be discarding an Asuna because we don't have the time to play all of them. So on our second turn, we still have 2 action points. We'll be pushing up the 0 cost because we don't need her energy. And we'll be playing a 0 cost Kirito into the back line, followed by the 2 cost Seiyun, which allows us to stay at 2 energy when active, bringing us up to 4 total energy. And then on our third turn, we will have 3 action points. We'll be pushing up the Kirito. We'll be playing a 3 cost Asuna into the back line, and with 2 action points and 4 energy into the back, we'll be playing one of our big cards, the 4 energy Yuuki, which allows us to draw 2, and we'll be trashing a Yuuki to set up the sideline for future plays.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.